following is an excerpt from our course OST-204 OpenStack Deployment and Advanced Administration.
So far, we have discussed about how to make our OpenStack highly available. And several times you have mentioned that is a headache to monitor, to track errors and things like that. And now we will see a little bit in this direction what can be done. Usually when we track errors, we will start with some log files. Usually we have an error message, we got a failure or something, and then we start digging for log files. And as long as we had everything on one system, we knew that we have a system log file, var log messages or var log, syslog, or whatever was the name of the log file, or we had the system journal. And there we were able to find our messages. But the problem here is that now we don't have one system journal, but we have maybe 5, 10, or whatever. Okay, so we have a lot of log files, most of them distributed on different nodes, and we have to correlate them. So we would like to see them, let's say, on one timeline. That would be nice. Yes, in a possible human readable format, and also if possible searchable with metadata and all the stuff. And what can we do here? Okay, what we have in this image, we have the steps which can happen for provisioning a virtual machine. Okay, so the steps for provisioning a virtual machine here, we see on the left hand side is the command novaboot. Okay, so novaboot is the command that we are issuing. That's the API request. That will reach the proxy. Now we know that there is the proxy. And the proxy will send the request to some Nova API. The Nova API will decide to send the request to forward the request to the Nova scheduler. Okay, so it will write to the message queue. Then the message queue, then from the message queue, a Nova scheduler will pick it up. And that Nova scheduler can be on the same host or on a different host. In this example, we see a Nova scheduler from another controller node picking up this task of scheduling a VM. It decides where to schedule it, then it will send a message to the message queue towards the proper Nova compute. And here the Nova compute is running on the compute node this time, which Nova compute will start talking to Glance to get the image. Then it will talk to Cinder to get the volume. Then it will talk to Neutron to get the networking. And finally, it will provision the VM for us, hopefully. But if not, we get an error. And we have to track down where that error has happened. Okay, so it means that we have to do something in order to make these distributed log files. Here we see 1, 2, 3, 4 nodes involved. The proxy, controller 1, controller 2, compute. And actually, also, it could be the network node involved as well. So we see all these nodes, and all these have log files, different log files. One is the Nova log, the other is the network, the Cinder, the Glance, and so on. So we have to figure out what can be done. And of course, what can be done, we have to implement some kind of centralized logging mechanism. Okay, so we have to do some kind of centralized logging for us.